1-2. Back on top spot, full of confidence, but still so much work to do. Starting tonight against Oxford United. Good evening. Saturday was pretty good, wasn't it? That 3-1 win over Portsmouth put Argyle back on top spot in Sky Bet League One. And we're in for another, hopefully, stunning evening's work of football tonight as well. Argyle travelling to the Kassam Stadium, looking to get their first away league win since Boxing Day. And if they do, they'll have to get past an Oxford side that are beginning to show signs of recovery after a bit of a torrid time at the start of 2023. Kickoff, obviously, just under an hour away, so we'll be doing a lot of building up, including bringing you team news. We'll be hearing from Schumacher on how he keeps this large squad happy, and also we'll be hearing from Mikhail Miller on him making his return to first-team football on Saturday. Lots to get through. Thankfully, I've got an able accomplice in Katie Middleton to help us through it. You were there on Saturday, Katie. It was some occasion, wasn't it?
Yeah, really good from start to finish. Really, I think it's one of those, you look at the results of games between Portsmouth and Argyle over recent seasons, and you think, oh,
there was a little bit of jittering.
There was a moment where they scored, wasn't there, where you're thinking, oh no, not again. But I thought it was a fantastic performance from the starting 11 to the players that came on. Great atmosphere here at Home Park, and just fantastic occasion. And obviously helped by the fact that we went back to top spot after the draw at Sheffield Wednesday Ipswich game. So really, really great day, and hopefully more to come again this evening.
You'll know this as a player in your playing days, having had a setback like against Sheffield Wednesday a fortnight or 10 days ago, losing arguably one of your best players, Dan Scarr, another big member of the squad, is out. How important was it to just say to everybody, including themselves, probably some of the players, just like, it's fine, don't worry, we're okay? Yeah,
and I think it's almost a point to prove, isn't it, to, like I said, to everyone. And yes, losing those players is massive. And you look at Michael Cooper and how important he's been, since the start of the season. Dan Scarr's been a big player. When he's been missing previously, it's been maybe a bit of a struggle to keep clean sheets and win games. So, kind of point proven on Saturday. And, Shuey obviously trusts all of the players in his squad. We spoke about it a lot on Saturday before the game about how obviously Callum Burton's come in. Shuey obviously trusts him. He's the number 2. That's why he's there. He's a good keeper, and he's a more than able deputy for Cooper. So, great to obviously bounce back from the result at Wednesday.
Well, you mentioned he likes using his players and he has trust in them. He's made 8 changes for that game. Let's have a look at the side for tonight's game as well. There's a Kassam Stadium at the moment. 8 changes on Saturday, 4 changes today. And you can see them on the screen there for you now. Jay Matete comes back in. Of course, Adam Randall picked up that knock early in the second half. Saxon Early gets his first start since arriving from Norwich in January. Finazaz, who scored, comes in for Callum Wright, and the other changes. Barley Mumba coming in for Joe Edwards, the skipper. So James Wilson will have the armband. It's seamless, isn't it, really, Katie? You can make sweeping changes and still have an incredibly strong-looking lineup. Yeah,
definitely, and we've spoken about it lots as the season's gone on, particularly since the January transfer window, and how he's brought in players that are more than capable of playing at this level, have played higher, and it's great that he can chop and change so much. We've spoken about how little consistency, I guess, there's been in the starting 11, and sometimes that kind of plays against you a little bit, but actually it's really worked in Argyle's favour this season, and it's meant that it's kept everyone fresh, it's kept everyone hungry for places in the starting 11, even in the squad these days, because you're not guaranteed to even make it into the squad. So it's great, isn't it, that you've got the players to be able to play around with so much, and if you consistently keep picking up points, then keep doing what you're doing.
Big night for Saxon Early?
Definitely, yeah. And I think off the back of Mikhail Miller's performance at the weekend, everyone was raving about how good he was, and rightly so. He had a fantastic performance. So I think, Saxon Early comes in with a bit of pressure now to go and perform. And everyone will be expecting the same things from him as, you know, Mikhail Miller provided. So, yeah, I'm sure, again, he's been in and around the squad now for a couple of months. So, yeah, he'll be excited to get started and get out there and show what he can do.
Let's look at the Oxford side then. They picked up a 1-1 draw against MK Dons on Saturday. Carl Robinson also making 4 changes, actually, to the side from that one. They see their captain come back in. Elliot Moore missed the game for personal reasons. He's back in the heart of defence. Big 6'7" centre-back. Marcus McGuane comes back in, and there's changes in the front 3. Tyler Goodrum and Yannick Wilchert coming in. They are a side, Katie, that over the last 5-6 years have always challenged in and around the playoffs. They're not this time around. Can you put your finger on why?
I think it's difficult, isn't it? And I think the more you look at this league, the more you realise how competitive it is and how difficult it is to get out of it. You know, Carl Robinson's been there for a while. It's not as if, you know, it's a different managerial coaching staff. I think, you know, you've got to look at the players they've got. They've got some decent talent there as well in that starting 11. So it's difficult to necessarily pinpoint why they're struggling, but it's obviously been a really bad run of form recently. You know, they've struggled in the last 5 or 6 games. Only drew at the weekend, put a stop to obviously a run of 4 games on the spin, losing. So, yeah, difficult to necessarily sort of pinpoint one reason, but I think, like I said, it proves how difficult this league is and how competitive it is from top to bottom. You
mentioned some quality in their team. If you look at the midfield 3 that are in there, you've got Cameron Brannigan, who's their top scorer, who's at Liverpool. He's been consistently one of the top performers in this division for the last couple of seasons. Marcus McGuane, who I think is one of the most accurate passer in the division, something like 90% pass accuracy, was at Barcelona and Arsenal as a kid. And then Lewis Bate, who, if you heard what Carl Robinson said after the MK Dons game, scored his first goal, Lewis Bate. He's on loan from Leeds, and he just said he's one of the best. He is the best player I've worked with in 20 years of management. That's their engine room. Yeah. That's their midfield 3.
Yeah, and it's big praise, I guess, isn't it, from the manager when they say that things like that. And to be fair to him, it was a cracking finish at the weekend as well to equalise against Don. So, yeah, there's plenty of firepower in there, and it's important tonight that Argyle do everything they can to nullify that threat as much as possible. I think Jay Matete will give you that energy and that little bit of grittiness in there to get stuck in and make tackles, and I think he's going to be really important tonight. I thought Matt Butcher was really good on Saturday. He probably again went a little bit under the radar with his performance, but he was a big part of what Argyle did well at the weekend. So hopefully we see more of the same from those two, and we can, like I say, nullify that threat as much as possible.
Having spoken about the poor form, just a little heads up to everybody that Oxford have beaten Bolton and Ipswich this season and have drawn with Sheffield Wednesday. So they do raise it for the big games. It's something that no doubt Stephen Schumacher will know all about. We mentioned the changes that he has made to the side recently. He's been rotating that squad 4 again tonight. And it can't always be easy for a manager to have to keep everybody happy, on point, at the top of their game when they are rotating the squad and still maintaining the sort of form that we're seeing from Argyle at the moment. But it isn't something that our gaffer, Stephen Schumacher, is afraid of doing.
Saturday was our first game of 5 in 14 days, so it's not possible to play with the same 11 players for 5 games straight and be able to play with the intensity that we need to for us to play well and get results. So, yeah, it's so good to have a strong squad to choose from. It was good to get Mikhail minutes. You know, he's been out for so long, and I thought he played really well for an hour, 65 minutes, whatever he played. And we're going to have to manage his body and make sure that he's right for the next time he's available. And that's the same with everybody. But it's that balance of getting the team right that's going to go on and obviously have a chance of winning the game, but also getting everybody physically right so that when they play, they're ready. And that's not only just my job, that's the performance team's job as well, to make sure everyone's fit and firing and raring to go when they get the opportunity.
How do you do that?
So you have to have a constant measure on the data and training loads and game loads. So that's Elliot's sort of department. He's always got one eye on what their output is for the players and how hard they're working, or are they working too hard. So we can sort of try and keep everybody in that peak condition. So we have to listen to the information that we get and then put the training sessions on that's required. So the players, as I say, when they are called upon to be in the starting 11 or in the squad, that their bodies are ready to go. So it's a tricky job, but it's one you just try your best on. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck. Sometimes you need players just to get into a rhythm and into a bit of a flow. So yeah, that's just part of the constant battle through the week of keeping your eye on everything as much as you can, the detail, which probably sounds a bit boring.
Not at all, I don't think for many people. The other thing is, as well as being physically ready, is also knowing how to play the system, knowing how to play the role, knowing how to just slot in.
No, and that's our job as the coaches, to make sure everyone understands their roles and responsibilities. I think, especially the new players coming in, that takes time. So since January, we've gone back to, look, this is how we do things. We've gone through some attacking patterns of play, unopposed, so you can work on the detail. We've gone through out of possession stuff where you need to go around every player and make sure that they're taking on the information. I sat with Jay Mattetti last week about things, and you know, he's been a brilliant player and everyone's seen him, but there's still little details in his game that the way we defend and the way we play that he's just got to get right. So that's our job, that's the battle from that side of it, to make sure everybody understands what they're doing. So when they go on in the home park or away from home, when they get out onto the pitch, it's hard to get information on. So if they know what they're doing before they go on there, then we've got a better chance.
Good insight there from Stephen Schumacher, as always. We were talking about it earlier on, Katie, but I suppose the prime example from Saturday's game on a player who's not been playing for a while, not even been involved in the squad for a while, but comes in, knows exactly what he's doing, looks as fit as anything, and you mentioned him earlier, was Matt Butcher. See, it was almost as if he was in the sort of peak powers of his season.
Yeah, it very much did look like that. You know, it's been a competitive area throughout the season anyway, hasn't it? I mean, it's generally speaking been a pick of Randall, Houghton, Butcher. Butcher's obviously played a few times at left wing back as well. But I thought he was brilliant on Saturday, and his energy, like you said, in and around that sort of midfield area really drove the team forwards. And I think even when Matete came on, Butcher was kind of, you know, leading things, trying to organise stuff, and it shows the quality that we've got in that position for sure.
What does it say about how they are coached? I know Shuey sort of mentioned a little bit of it in there, that they are able to be at that level even if they're not involved and still just know. I mean, it was so cohesive.
Yeah, and I think the fact that people can come in and out of the starting lineup, he changes formation, people still know what they're doing. I think it's credit to Shuey, credit to the coaching staff behind him, that the players can obviously all know what their roles are within every formation that they're playing, and then it allows you to seamlessly change between whether that's formation, whether that's tactics, whether that's personnel. You can chop and change everything, yet they still make it look simple and they look like they've been doing it for a long time. So, yeah, there's lots of obviously hard work gone in on the training ground to get them to those levels. And like you say, I think in terms of individual performance levels as well, they're obviously working hard, and you know the fitness coaches and stuff are obviously doing what they're paid to do. And yeah, it's great to see, and hopefully over the latter part of the season, you know, we don't pick up too many injuries and people can keep showing that form.
Yeah, I'm just definitely, we don't want any more injuries, that is for sure. We've had a fair share of them throughout this season. We hear it a lot, don't we, in football, where if you do chop and change, it can be detrimental to the side. And is it his, I don't know, the biggest compliment that you can pay to everything that's going on here, the fact that he's not just Shuey, but everybody at Argyle seems to have just put that to one side and be like, well, no, that's not the case with us?
Yeah, I think it is credit to everyone. And I guess that's from, right at the top of the tree of owners, right through, Neil Dewsnip, everyone who's part of that kind of coaching and I guess recruitment of players, all of that kind of stuff. And it's easy in January to say, right, we need to sign players and we need to bring in whoever, but actually bringing in players who fit what you're already trying to do, who can seamlessly slide into, again, the setup that's already there, is almost more difficult than finding decent football players. So, I think massive credit to everyone involved in the club for getting us to where we are now. But the most important thing is it's not job done. We're part way through a season. We're closer to the end than we are the beginning, but there's still lots of hard work to do, lots of work to be done from everybody. So let's hope it continues the way it's going currently.
Just a little bit on tonight. I mentioned at the start it's been, I think, 4 matches on the road without a win away from home. The last away win in the league was Boxing Day against Cheltenham. We have seen variance in formations depending on whether we're home or away. He stuck with the same looking formation as we saw on Saturday at Home Park in 3-1 win. Is there a huge difference playing home and away? I always ask this question, and people always say yes, but surely it is just a game of football.
Yeah, I think you got to take into account where we are geographically as well, and it generally speaking means we've got a lot more travel to do. So when you're going to away games, when you play a home game, you get up at this time, you eat at this time, you get to the ground at the same time. Everything's very set out, and when you then start to go away, you're obviously either travelling the day before, travelling early in the day. It mixes things up, and it's kind of just puts you out of your normal routine a little bit. I think as far as kind of Argyle this season, obviously we've been so good here. It puts pressure on when you go away, doesn't it? To people think it's going to be the same, and you're going to go away and you're going to win every game you play, and but that isn't the case, and that's not going to happen through a season, is it? So, I think, again, it'll be great if we can pick up points today. I think he's gone nice and positive. Obviously, depending on the opposition, things will change anyway. The last away game, obviously, was at Wednesday, and, you're looking, maybe he'll go a bit more defensive there. So tonight he's obviously seen a chance to just go out and do what we did on Saturday here, be positive, get at them, and hopefully similar result.
Fingers crossed. Well, we're getting closer to kick-off. You're watching Argyle TV with myself, Charlie Price, and Katie Middleton. We'll be hearing from Mikhail Miller next, so don't go anywhere.
Ball in, a good goal, Schumacher. Progress into the second division.
Well, Saturday's win over Portsmouth saw a return to first-team action for Mikhail Miller. It was just his 5th appearance for the club since arriving in the summer. It's fair to say he enjoyed it.
Wow, it was amazing, man. Obviously being back around the team, obviously starting, it was a good feeling for myself, and yeah, being able to help the team as well.
Yeah, it was. I think a lot of people came away from it thinking that it's like, how is this guy being out for the last month when he puts in a performance like that? Did you feel you were pretty much at the top of your game for that?
Yeah, well, I've been training for about, I think, 3 weeks now. So I felt good, felt sharp. I thought I was going to blow up earlier, but no, I felt good. So yeah, good sign, man.
Yeah, I think we spoke when you came back from your initial injury, the one at the start of the season, and it was I asked you about what it was like being out, and it must be difficult when you've just joined the club to then be out again.
Yeah.
I mean, just talk us through what goes through your mind when you get the news the second time.
It's such a like mental barrier that you have to like overcome and like manage, because like if you're not careful you can let it like consume you. So like being told like when you get injured again, it's like you start thinking, oh no, can't help the team, I just want to do well for myself, I've just signed, I haven't played many games, fans wanting to see me play, like so many things go through your head. But like I said, you just got to channel it, and like when you have good players like here and good staff and that around you, you manage to get through it like a lot easier, so it's good, man.
I suppose, does it make it slightly easier, the fact that the team is playing so well and you can kind of soak up the good vibe in the dressing room and stuff like that?
Yeah, that always helps. Obviously, like if you're coming back into a struggling team, like you might get rushed back, or you might get like come back and you feel pressure, but obviously you feel pressure coming back because you want to do well, but like the team's doing well, like I like seeing everyone do well, so like it makes everything easier, man. And like I said, everyone, like as well as the boys are doing well, they're wanting to see me back as well, so it's a nice feeling.
We're hoping now, touch wood, fingers crossed, that you are feeling strong. How are you feeling your body after playing on Saturday, after training for the last couple of weeks? How is everything?
Yeah, actually feeling good, man, feeling positive. Like I said, like in my head I was a bit like, because every time I played I always thought I don't want to feel something at the end, or you just have that little thought in your head that you don't want to feel anything. So like being able to get through like I think 67 minutes was good and positive. So like yeah, feeling good.
What's the next few weeks going to be like for you? Are you now? Is this you now fully back in?
I hope so. Well, yeah. I know the manager will want to look after me and stuff. Obviously being out for a while, so I just got to make sure I'm doing the right things, recover well, and be ready for when I get my next opportunity.
Like a cliche, Katie, but he is like a new signing. Coming back in now, isn't he?
Yeah, definitely. And unfortunately for us, I don't think we've seen enough of him so far this season. He's, almost at a different level on Saturday, wasn't he? And, he's good defensively, but he's, that ability to drive forwards and get out players. Obviously, the first goal came from him cutting inside and getting shots away. So, it's great to have him back involved. And, again, it gives loads of options, doesn't it, for Shuey to pick from. He's now got, 4 or 5 wing backs that he can pick from. It's a hard position to play anyway, as you're expected to get up and down the pitch lots. So to have the ability to chop and change things regularly, and like we've spoken about already, for players to come in and just pick up where someone else has left off is great. But yeah, fantastic to see him back and fighting fit.
What does he offer that we might not have had in that position?
I think it's just the game understanding of sort of when to get forwards, when to sit in, and like I said, that kind of athletic ability that he's got pace to burn, and he's keen to get forwards. He can go outside players, he can cut inside, as he showed many times at the weekend. So he gives you lots of options from that side, and he almost ends up becoming more of an attacking player in the game than he does sort of defensively. So I think a lot of that comes from the good work that the defensive midfielders do to free those wing backs up to allow them to get forwards. We've obviously spoken about Matt Butcher and how well he played at the weekend. Randall did the same. They do the dirty work to allow those players to sort of get forwards and show what they can do from an attacking sense. So the system just works together very well.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to get you to dive back into your memory bank. Did you ever have a long, bad injury when you played?
No, fortunately not.
Very good.
Yeah, very lucky.
The reason I ask is because Mikhail was talking about the psychological thing, and obviously you hear about it. Connor, I think, mentioned it in commentary on Saturday, that you just need to try and be as positive as possible. But he had 2 setbacks.
Yeah, and just when you think you come back from one, it's like, oh, here we go again. So, we've gone periods of not playing games and things, and it's frustrating. But you've got to try and be as positive as you can around the other players. You don't want to drag everyone else down with your misery as you can't play. I mean, ultimately, you're there to play football, aren't you? And when you can't do that, it's frustrating. So, it's great that they've obviously got these lads around them that are, because you're doing so well, everyone's buoyant and living the dream. So, it obviously makes it an easier atmosphere to be around anyway.
He's obviously not involved today, but Saxon early years, it's his first start since arriving from Norwich in January. And you just spoken about, especially with Mikhail on Saturday, there was almost at times he was the furthest player forward.
Yeah.
We don't know necessarily what Saxon is going to be like because we haven't seen him very much. I think we saw him for about 5 minutes at Bolton and that was it. But with Barley on one side in for Joe, he's obviously, he thinks forward rather than back quite a lot of the time.
Yep.
Do we think, what do you want to see that from Saxon today? Do you want to see the attacking intent?
Yeah, definitely. And I think throughout the whole team we want to see the attacking intent because ultimately we want to go away and get a result, and to do that you've got to be positive and you've got to get forwards. And I think, like we just spoke about, that setup of having your 3 centre-backs there anyway, your 2 central midfielders who sit and screen things, it allows the full-backs or the wing-backs to have that freedom to get forwards and be attack-minded. And I think with playing 2 up front as well, potentially, which we will, like we did on Saturday, it gives you a little bit more focus going forwards. They can hold the ball a little bit better. And then again, as your wing backs, you're thinking, right, if we're going to hold on to the ball, it gives us a chance to get up the pitch and get higher and not have to worry so much about that defensive work. So, I think a great opportunity for Saxon early to come in today and show what he's all about.
Well, let's move away from tonight's game just for a little moment. Joy of Moving is a national programme that's focusing on improving fitness, health and nutritional information and knowledge in Year 5 and 6 pupils. So it's aged sort of between 9 and 10. The goal of the programme, Joy of Moving, is to increase levels of physical activity among young people around the world, giving them the possibility to develop the skills and knowledge that will enhance their attitudes to fitness. And the Argyle Community Trust are involved heavily with it. They've been working very hard to get more people active, and as it's half term, they went into Holberton School, as we can see now.
Joy Moving is a health and nutrition programme that is in partnership with the EFL. It is a project that lasts for 6 weeks, and it is made up of 2 45-minute sections. The first section is 45 minutes based around a practical session, which is where the coach will teach the children how to create rules, how to learn the games, and how to play varying games that they can then translate into the playground of a lunch or a break time in order to make sure that they are getting the activity that they need. The 45-minute theory session is based around a classroom based with PowerPoints, and they all get a booklet each. They will learn about pulse rates, they will learn about the food elements and what foods are good and what foods are maybe not so good. There will be a hydration video and section where they need to learn about hydration. And there will also be information about meal planning as well as physical activity and what they can do and how much physical activity they should be doing.
Well, we've been learning about physical activity and how it kind of impacts the body and the mind. The last 6 weeks have been really good because you get to learn about how much food you need to eat and how much calories in each day you need to have.
What I've learned over the last few weeks is that a full entire meal for the day doesn't really take up all your calories.
My favourite thing was the sugary drinks quiz, where you had to guess how much sugar was in each drink.
My favourite thing over the last few weeks has been making a meal planner for the day for pilgrimage. I'd recommend this programme to anyone. It's been fantastic and I've loved it.
I've learned a lot, so I'd recommend it to any other schools that want to learn more.
Right, we're getting closer and closer to kick-off here on Argyle TV. The Pilgrims against Oxford United in Sky Bet League One. We'll be refreshing our minds on the team news in just a moment, as well as hearing from the Oxford manager, Carl Robinson. So don't go anywhere.
Can you pledge 35 hours for Project 35?
Pledge 35 hours for Project 35.
Pledge 35 hours for Project 35.
Okay, it's time to focus on the hosts, Oxford United. They're on a bit of a slump at the moment. Carl Robinson's side haven't won in their last 5 matches. They did get a draw on the weekend, though, after 4 straight defeats. Let's hear from him now after we've seen the goals from that 1-1 draw against MK Dons.
Does it surprise you that they're top of the league at this stage?
I think it'll surprise you initially because of obviously the amount of big teams that are in the league. But obviously, Shuey, I remember his first game was away at MK Dons, and I went and seen him for a coffee before the game. Neil Houston, the director of football, was my coach, and I was a young man, I think young boy, he was 9 or 10. So it's 2 people that I know incredibly well, 2 people that I've got tremendous respect for. But when you see the attention to detail, the work ethic, the riding that wave, when you're all on that, everything you hit, every ricochet, because you have that belief in that it falls for you. We had it.
Yeah.
We had it. We're finding it. We're searching for it. We'll strive for it, and we'll be back there, Chris. We will. But Plymouth have been an incredible testament to themselves, and it'll be a very, very difficult game tomorrow night.
Carl Robinson there, speaking ahead of today's game. We kind of spoke about it earlier, Katie, the form that they're in. It does seem strange, but they let Matty Taylor, who was their top scorer last season, go out to Port Vale this season. They have struggled with injuries a bit. Goals do seem to be a bit of a problem. I was looking at their form recently. I think it's just 2 goals in the last 6 matches or something.
Yeah, I think, like you said, a combination of all of those things have obviously contributed to where they're at currently. They're 16th in the table, I think, and like you said before, a team notoriously that have been challenging up and around the playoff spots. So, I think there's been talk of Carl Robinson being under a little bit of pressure and needing to get results. So I think that's something that we need to be wary of tonight. Are they that old cliche of a their wounded animal who's going to come out all guns blazing? I think actually, to be fair, against MK Dons, they created a few chances towards the end of the game. So let's hope tonight isn't one of those performances.
Sure, we will have the answers. Let's get a reminder actually of the team news for this evening's game. Argyle making 4 changes from the win against Portsmouth on Saturday. It sees a first start for Saxon Early at left wing back, coming in for Mikhail Miller. The other changes see Barley Mumba, Finazaz and Jay Matete come into the side. Strong looking bench. I mean, it's always going to be a strong looking bench now, but the ability to bring on the likes of Callum Wright and Danny Mayer, Ben Wayne, things aren't going well.
Yeah, and you're more experienced heads as well in there of Edwards and Houghton. So, James Bolton's come on a couple of times to shore things up a little bit at the back. So, gives you plenty of options, and I think a good mix of attacking and defensive substitutions if required. So, Shuey's got a difficult enough job picking an 11 that starts the game, but also making sure he's got a good mix of players on the bench that he can bring on as well. And you look at the quality that's there in the squad is massive, and hopefully performance-wise, similar to the weekend.
Just a quick one on the strikers, Hardy and Cosgrove. I couldn't off the top of my head tell you how many times they have started up front together, but we saw it on Saturday. Both scored. Cosgrove got the assist for Hardy's goal as well. So it clearly works then. Is that a partnership you see being quite a fruitful one?
I think so, because I think at times when you play those players on their own, which has happened throughout the season, Hardy sometimes, will play the ball long. He's not got that physicality to be able to hold the ball up, and it ends up coming back again. On the flip side, if you play Cosgrove on his own, he hasn't got the legs to run in behind. So by playing the two of them together, I think they complement each other really well in terms of Hardy will do the dirty work a little bit more. He'll get in and around and he'll chase things and he'll harry people. And then Cosgrove will, give central defenders an absolutely horrible time of, getting in the way, winning headers, that kind of stuff. So that combination of the two of them, I think, works really well together. And fingers crossed we see them both on the score sheet again tonight.
I think it's 25 goals between the two of them. Hardy 13, Cosgrove 12.
It's decent numbers, really, isn't it?
Not bad to have. Let's get a look at the Oxford side then. Carl Robinson also making 4 changes to the side. They've got a draw against MK Dons, as we just saw. I suppose the big news for Oxford fans is their captain Elliot Moore is back. Missed the MK Dons game because of family reasons. They've changed their forward line, Katie. We've spoken about Argyle's one. Tyler Goodrum and Yannick Wildschut are in for Josh Murphy and Asif Kanate, who've dropped to the bench. Goodrum's a young lad who's seems to actually, looking at his numbers, do quite well. He's got that young sort of energy. I think it's 3 goals this season, quite a few assists, and was spoken about after the game from the manager that it made such an impact that he might start today, and he has. Yeah,
I think it's obviously been a side that have struggled a little bit for goals of late, and he'll be looking to get as much kind of attacking intent, I guess, onto the pitch as he can, and he's obviously, like I said, chopped and changed things around a little bit. I guess when your top scorer is your more defensively minded central midfielder, it probably says a lot. So they'll be looking for those players that he's brought in tonight to really try and liven things up and be a threat going forward. So if they do line up as a front sort of 3, then I'm sure they'll keep our back 3 busy. But I think for Argyle, can we counter that and get those wing backs as high up the pitch as we can, and force them to do more defending than they do attacking.
You can probably see just behind the team graphic there the Argyle supports to the left-hand side of the screen as you're looking at it, right-hand side of the stand if you're in it. Another sellout away from home for the Green Army. It's been a ground in recent times which hasn't been too fruitful. Last season, though, you remember a 3-1 win for Argyle after falling behind. It was probably one of my favourite away days from last season. Counter-attacking display from Argyle. Kamara with 2, Garrick with 1. Something like that will go down nicely today, that is for sure. If I have to put you on the spot then, Katie, what happens tonight?
I think Argyle win 3-0.
3-0? Comfortable.
I'm going.
Wow, I hope it is. It'll make for a lovely, lovely night. In all seriousness, a 3-0 win would do what I'm about to say. It would keep that momentum going. But it is Papa John's Trophy semi-final next weekend. They've got another home match against Fleetwood here on the weekend. Then it's Peterborough. And then if you look a couple of weeks further down the line, after Charlton, you've got Derby and Barnsley. It is actually quite a crucial, 4 or 5 weeks where you kind of feel, if you, without looking too far ahead, if you get to the end of that Barnsley game pretty much unscathed, either in the top 2 or within touching distance, that running could be, you put yourself in a good position, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd look at every game between now and the end of the season and say, there's so much to play for. Tensions are going to get high. The fans are going to be expectant that you win games against lower, positions, but sometimes those games are more difficult. So, yes, we look at the games against the teams who are in and around the playoffs, but actually every game that they play between now and the end of the season is going to be really tricky. So, I think you can only take your foot off the gas once the final whistle blows on that final game of the season, and you know for definite where you're finishing. So lots and lots to play for over the next few months.
I heard someone on the radio saying that we're in February at the minute, and I think they were talking about Arsenal, and the expectancy with Arsenal supporters thinking, oh, we're almost there. I'm going to say, as an Argyle fan, you're kind of thinking, oh, we're in the run-in. We're not in the run-in. There's still 17 games to go.
It's
There's
crazy.
Still ages to go.
Yeah, I feel like the season's gone on forever already. There's been so much excitement, so much so many highs and stuff as the season's gone on that. I think we're in for a wild ride for the next couple of months.
And we're not wishing it away because we are enjoying it.
Definitely, but at the same time, I want it all to be over and us to be promoted already. So
absolutely, no. Well, hopefully, win tonight, and we're another step closer. Let's have a look at the other fixtures then that are taking place tonight. It's a full fixture list in Sky Bet League One. All eyes, no doubt, will be drawn to the sides directly below us. So Sheffield Wednesday, Ipswich, and Bolton all in action. Wednesday at home to Morecambe. So have a chance against Derek Adams' side, who are battling themselves at the other end of the table. Ipswich are at Bristol Rovers, and Bolton host MK Dons. I've discounted Derby there, but they're on a bit of a charge as well. They did lose on the weekend, but they're at home to Lincoln. So we'll do our best to keep you up to date with all of those matches throughout the evening as they go on. But that is pretty much us done here in the build-up on this Tuesday night, Valentine's night, and we'll be hoping, no doubt, for many people's first loves, Plymouth Argyle, to do the business so we can go home happy. But if you aren't at the Kassam Stadium, then you can watch it wherever you are in the world on Argyle TV. Stream costs a pass costs you just £10 to buy a stream. All the details are available on our website, pafc.co.uk. Just click on the Argyle TV tab, and then all of the streaming details will be available to see in there. Katie and I will go and get herself ready for commentary because Argyle's trip to Oxford is coming up next.
On the edge of the area, gets it onto his left foot, Mumba!